Hey everybody, November Charlie 4 X-Ray Lima, North Carolina for extreme lovers, and I'm not. I planned on sitting out at one of my favorite local parks, not a Pota park, and present this next video. Okay, let's see if I can direct who this next video is going to go to. Your brand new activators, not necessarily brand new to parks on the air because you become a hunter and you got infected by the fun factor. But now you're doing the activating. You're going out to parks. And what we're going to talk about is an opinion. A seasoned activator may agree. A new activator may not agree. And that's why we talk about it, to see what your thought process is or give you some reasons why some of us may feel this way. So, you're getting ready to go out to a park. You've never been there, and you hightail on out to this park, whatever park it is. And the first thing you do is you run up to Mr. or Miss Ranger and say, hey, I'm going to do a Pota activation. And they don't know you from Adam. And or, do you have a permit, ma'am or sir? And or, ooh, what do you mean I need a permit? Okay, let's back up to the front of this video again. So you go out to a park and you drive around and you find a nice area. There's picnic tables. You set yourself up with your banner that says Pota. And you have fancy chairs alongside of the picnic table, and there's 2 or 3 people, and you're getting everything up. You got the vertical antenna, the Wolf River coil. You don't have one in a tree, but you have the antenna up. You got cones around it. Everybody can see you there. Isn't that awesome? Back up. When we draw attention to ourselves at some of these parks, and every park is different, they're not all the same, so don't take this for every park you go to, but put this in the back of your head a moment. If you go to a park and you drop banners up and you got cones up and you got yellow tape up and you got a lot of attention drawing material, okay, it can cause some folks to come by, whether they're bystanders, the neighborhood walkers that walk through the park, or the bird watchers, or the drug addicts that are doing business in their area, and you're there and they didn't expect you, and there all sorts of things happen. Yeah. Going back to the front. Let's say you go to that same park again. This time you take your portable table and you go to the backside where there's not a lot of activity. And yes, you're proud of doing Pota. I'm proud for you too, but I've also learned that I'm not going to put up a Pota flag, not that I'm ashamed of it, unless it's a special event, a club organized event where somebody has already cleared it with the rangers. And there's some parks that are welcoming us because we leave it cleaner than it was when we got there. But there's some parks that think we owe them $45 to sit down and talk on the radio because we're having more than 1 or 2 people and there's a lot of people showing up. Now it's an event and you got to sign up. There's nothing wrong with signage. There's a time and a place for it all. But when you're first starting out, go to a park, get out of sight, out of mind, so to speak. It's not show and tell. You're not there to tell people about amateur radio and they should get a license and this is how you do it. And if you want to go here, you can get it done. Those are positive sides, yes, at the right time. But if you're brand new going out to an activation and you already got the jitters about, am I going to do this right? You're going to do just fine. But when you have all of a sudden somebody come up asking questions and you're in the middle of doing what you're doing and you're trying to manage your time and be polite, and or then Mr. or Miss Ranger comes up and they start questioning, what is that? Well, God forbid you have an antenna hanging in a tree. And the first thing you see, I'm doing a Parks on the Air event. Oops, event. There's a word, event. It just cost you some frustration possibly because they look at you are doing something special. Okay? If by chance you are out at a park and somebody comes up and approaches you and says that you need a special permit to operate my radio and just to talk around the world, and if they say yes, then don't question it. Don't buck it. Don't argue with it. It's going to happen eventually to a few of us where you have a new kid on the block inside the system of park rangers or whatever, and they don't like what we do. Why? Because of maybe what somebody else did before we got there. Sticking holes in the ground so you can put a spike up. Leaving paracord hanging in a tree so you can come back and just hook up and go. Well, you don't think people do that? They do. I won't mention who, but I know of a person that has. And we'll just let it go at that. But that's not always a good thing to do, especially if you upset one ranger. We'll use North Carolina just for convenience, and I'm sure it goes other states. But all of the North Carolina parks email each other. You can't outrun a radio, so to speak. So if you upset somebody and they know you're a Pota person or Parks on the Air, it don't take much to get an email going, and then supervisors get involved, and the next thing you know, when you go there and you get crazy enough to go up to administrative and say, hey, I'm going to. No. Now, let me go to how I do it. I am not the right person to ask. I just telling you what I do. I go to a park. I find a secluded place. If there's nobody around, I'm going to do one of two things. I'm going to sit on their table if they provide it and it's in a shaded area. If not, I'm going to put my table up. I carry a portable table everywhere I go. I carry a portable chair everywhere I go. I got my fishing pole. It's not a device that projects like a weapon, an air gun, because that is considered a weapon at some of these places. So it's not a good thing to have a projectile device. So I use a fishing pole. I throw my sinker up and over a tree, pull my paracord back up and back, and hook my antennas and rock and roll. In 15-20 minutes, I'm up and on the air. But if I don't have the means and I have a drive-on mount, I can set my drive-on mount up, put my telescopic pole up, tie off to another twig somewhere, one end of it, and get on the air. If I have a delta loop, okay, and nobody's around, so to speak, I might just stick a spike in the ground, but I don't use a delta loop because it requires a tuner, and I'm not a tuner person. I use resonant antennas, but that's me. When you guys and or gals go out to an event, where there's many operators, then more than likely somebody has to have done the legwork or knows the staff well enough that you're not going to have conflict. Okay? If you're going out by yourself, let family know where you're at, obviously, or other hams know where you're at. But at the same time, don't put out the red flag that says, hey, look at me, I'm a ham radio operator, I'm having fun talking around the world. Because it might draw the attention you're not ready for yet. Thank you for listening. This is not to discourage you. This is to make you aware of, so when you go out, it's nice to have a flag, yes. It's nice to have a banner, yes. But there's appropriate times for the above. There's many operators that will sit in their car, drive into a park, and nobody knows we're even on the air. They do it, they activate with the ham stick, I activate with the ATOS. Okay? But I like getting outside of the car. I like the fresh air. And when you're in that environment, it feels a little different. And if you're fortunate to get a wire in the tree, you have a little bit better propagation. If you want to put a delta loop up or something like that. But do it being smart. There's some parks you go to, there's enough room for 3 or 4 cars, and that's it. I wonder how they got to be a park or a Pota entity, but they met the criteria that the mapping coordinator has to follow in order for it to become one. Enjoy your activation. Enjoy your activations. Every place you go to is different. Sometimes even the same parks you go to all the time, new hires get in the way and create some opportunities to become very professional in one's wording. 73s, enjoy. November, Charlie 4X-Ray Lima. NC4XL. I forget who I am. I'm Dom, yeah. I'm supposed to be for the extreme lovers. I'm not, just me. But I just don't want you getting frustrated. It's fun having fun, but walk slowly as you start, and you'll do just fine. 73.